to the spot like Phil Collins sang it. Fresh new fade with the mustache banging. I know you want to know where the fuck I'm from.
Check it out real quick. So, yeah, today I wanted to cover. I had these two girls I wanted to invite over, but they wasn't able to make it because they're always covering on TikTok and stuff about Mexicans and the differences and stuff like that. It's not just them. This has been going on for years. And I just wanted to give my insight about it, you know, what I think. A lot of people think because they speak Spanish that they're more Mexican than those who don't speak Spanish. You ever hear about that, Johnny?
Mm-hmm. A lot, especially in San Jose.
Yeah, so do you ever go through that with your, because, well, you're
Portuguese, right? So, like, my mom's first language is Portuguese, but when she came to the U.S., she didn't want to speak in it. Like, she did teaches, but it's like she didn't want us to be our primary. So, of course, people who are Portuguese and...
Wait, so you said she didn't want Portuguese to be your primary language?
Exactly.
And what, like, why is that?
She wanted to assimilate, right? Assimilate to America.
She wanted you guys to fit in, right?
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I relate to that because, see, I'm Mexican and I don't speak Spanish. But when I was a kid and I first started going to school, they sent home letters through us to give to our parents, instructing our parents not to teach us Spanish or speak to us in Spanish because there wasn't that many Spanish speaking teachers, you know, and it was just making it difficult for the teachers to, to teach us. Of course, if there's, teachers sitting there trying to school this whole class and the teacher don't know Spanish and there's two kids in the back, like, what, get, it's going to fuck things up. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and the teacher's going to get frustrated, because there's a language barrier there and she wants to teach these kids. So, bottom line is, man, what I'm trying to say is, like, again, just because you speak Spanish doesn't make you more Mexican than those who don't. I remember I was in this youth program years ago in Arizona, and there was this guy from LA there. He was from South LA, and he was red hair, freckle face, white as hell, but spoke Spanish. You know what I mean? And that caught me off guard. And here I am, I'm not the darkest, but when I'm in the sun, I get dark, and I'm like, this dude knows Spanish and I don't, But there it is there. What that shows you, what people should know is that Mexican is not a race, it's a cultural heritage. You know what I mean? Like, it's a mixed race. So there's gonna be people that are white, dark, in the middle. We're like Kool-Aid, man. It don't matter if you put grape flavor, cherry flavor, lemonade flavor, blue, purple, whatever. It's all gonna still be Kool-Aid as long as sugar's in it.
Right.
That's the same with Mexican. Like, I didn't speak Spanish, but I still went home to people who spoke Spanish fluently. And like I said in my TikTok the other day, my grandma used to wash our clothes in the bathtub, by hand with a stick, and then take them outside in the backyard and hang them on the clothesline. Now, if that ain't Mexican, I don't know what is. And I said, my grandma used to send us to school with homemade tortillas and all kinds of different shapes because she didn't give a fuck. She just rolled that shit up real quick and put peanut butter and jelly and wrapped it up in foil and sent us to school and says, hey, don't forget to bring the foil back.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
Yeah, man. And we used to, like, what I'm trying to say is, I'm Mexican. I grew up Mexican. My grandma was bumping that Mexican music all day long when she was in the backyard drinking her beer, hanging the clothes and doing some yard work. And, I think they used that to their advantage, that they weren't supposed to speak to us in Spanish because our whole life they would speak, Spanish at the table and look at us and laugh and be like, well, what the fuck are they saying? They would use that to their advantage so they could say things that we didn't know. When you go to, I'm sure if a Mexican American goes to Mexico, they're going to be forced to learn Spanish to survive, right?
Right.
The same when women and men come to America from Mexico, they're forced to learn English to survive. So it's nothing to brag about. And in fact, it's nothing to be proud of because Spanish is not even our native language. If you want to really get deep, like we should be speaking something like Aztec or Mayan, you know?
Right.
And so none of us are really legit better than anybody. We're all, you know, if you know, our history was robbed, our women were raped hundreds of years ago, and that's why we're mixed. That's why, you know, we got this cultural heritage called Mexican, and that's that.
I always joke my language is money.
Money? Why is that?
Well, whatever language works to get you money, right? It's like
yeah.
You grew up in San Jose. Obviously, if speaking Spanish would have helped you financially, you'd be fucking with that.
Yeah.
I guarantee.
Man, I'm telling you,
Right?
man. So
you
it's
just
like,
didn't need to.
yeah, like growing up in my neighborhood, I would hear people throw this word around, hey, paisa this, paisa that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be like, what's a paisa, right? You know, I remember like, you know,
first learned.
yeah, so what the fuck was that?
Mm-hmm.
And I was told that a paisa was a Mexican friend. Mm-hmm. So I grew up using that word.
I think it was
and
cool.
some people in different places, different cities take it offensive. And I'm like, wait a minute, like, you know, we didn't create that word, you know?
Yeah.
Like I was told it was a righteous word. And in my neighborhood, in my area, it still is righteous to say that. You know, it's not a disrespect.
Yeah.
And yes, of course, there was growing up, you would hear the disrespect. You would, you know, you would say border brothers and other words that are really disrespectful to people that came from Mexico, right?
Right.
But it wasn't, we didn't create that shit. It was called, it was learned behavior.
Yeah.
You know, now I'm not trying to be racist or anything, but maybe the white people created it. Obviously they did, you know, but just like the blacks, you know, that word, you know, like the N word. They didn't.
And the Asians call them, some Asians from here that grew up in San Jose, Americanized, had friends that came from Asia recently and they didn't speak English. They'd call them fresh off the boat, all that shit, you know?
Yeah, but the blacks, like, yeah, you're right. But the blacks, they didn't create that word. I'm saying the N word.
Yeah, they didn't say that shit.
The whites create the N word, but they used it, right?
They used
so it's just learned behavior. So when you were younger, we said a lot of disrespectful things to people because we were young and dumb.
Exactly.
But that doesn't mean these people from Mexico were the victims only, because they said things to us too that were disrespectful.
Right.
We just teased each other. Hey, that person, you know, don't speak Spanish, or this person speaks Spanish, and so he's this and he's that. Mm-hmm. So nobody was a victim in there. I think we were all in, like, what do you call that? Like a collaborate, not a
program
effort.
Too.
Like we were all collaborated in that mix of disrespect. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not a one-sided thing, because they used to call us pochos, and I believe, you know, that what that means is a Mexican that doesn't speak Spanish.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I just, you know, I get tired of that shit, because I go to Mexican restaurants, and as soon as I sit down, they come up to me and they speak Spanish, and I'm like, man, you know, these are my people, man, they're gonna treat me right. But it never fails. As soon as I respond to them back in English, they get upset. They get frustrated. Yeah. I'm like, fuck. And I understand, because some of them can't speak good English, right? But so I understand, but I try to work with them, but it just fucks up the whole setting, you know?
Yeah.
The experience just, you know, sometimes it goes south. But then sometimes they understand, and they'll be like, oh, no, you know.
Some are cool.
We live here. We're supposed to learn your language, you know?
Right.
And I'm like, but it's not my language, but it's what I speak. But you know.
the one you're speaking to them. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
You're at a restaurant or something, I guess.
Yeah. So I just think, like, everybody should start, you know, hey, man, if you know Spanish, be considerate and have patience and humble yourself. And, hey, okay, this person's Mexican, but he don't speak Spanish. But understand, it wasn't our choice not to speak it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, don't make you less Mexican.
It's not like you guys went to school to learn that shit. You know, you learned it in your household. Yes, we should have learned it in our household. Yeah. And I know some Spanish. I know enough to get me around. Right. But I'm not fluent, and I'm not gonna sit there and chop it up with these people and make a fool out of myself. Because you know what I mean?
Exactly. That's how I feel with Portuguese.
You know what I'm saying? Like I could definitely order some food, but I just rather just speak English, because then they're gonna. I mean,
they'll make fun of you.
No, they're gonna come up to me with some other questions or some other kind of conversation, and I don't know how to get myself out of that.
Yeah. You're like, I can't go that deep.
So they're gonna be like, why the fuck did you set me up with this shit then and lead me on to thinking, you know?
Yeah.
So I just stay quiet. I just be like, nah, man, what'd you say? And then,
They're like
Can I,
befuddled.
yeah. But so yeah, man, I just I even hear things about some gangs were started because they spoke Spanish and they didn't know English, and I don't know. I don't think that's true, man. And there's people who posted some things on YouTube about it. What I believe is those guys who came from Mexico, they seen what they seen, and they came up here with that style, and that's all they knew. And they didn't know how to say, "Hey, man, I don't know. This is where I come from," Right. But hey, so do you ever get that problem in your Portuguese community, like when you go to like any kind of birthday parties or something like that? Like,
yeah, people try to make you feel like.
No, is there? Hold on, wait. Is there Portuguese people that don't speak Portuguese?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, like they're born here.
Do you guys get upset with them when they don't?
Hell no. I mean, but other.
Nah, come on, keep it real.
No, I'm saying other people do. I don't.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't care because like I'm just like, but I definitely feel what I feel is there's people who speak Portuguese and English both really well.
Yeah.
And they look at you like you're not being proud if you didn't learn it, and it's like, come on, bro. I'm just not.
Yeah.
I'm just not using that language every day. You know what I mean? Like I tell
Right,
you, my language
right.
is money. Whatever language works to make me bread, I'm gonna speak it. If I was working at some restaurant where everybody's coming up ordering food in Portuguese, I'm gonna learn that shit just like you would. Like you'd learn Spanish or whatever language.
Yeah, I just don't, man. I hate when they get upset. When
Yeah,
they'll
like
be
you
like,
don't know it, you didn't take
they'll
pride.
be like, what, dude? Like they'll be like, man, you're Mexican, dude. Like what
should know.
the fuck you mean, man? Like, come on, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I grew up at the going to the flea markets on the weekends.
Yeah.
I did the same shit you did. I ate the same beans and rice.
Right.
Everything you did, I did. You can't say you did anything more Mexican than me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so let's just get this straight. Mexican who speak Spanish don't make you more Mexican than those who don't.
That's
look
right.
at it's our blood is the same.
Yep.
We're the same people. Let's not knock each other. Let's be humble and teach each other, man. And like I said, we could learn from each other, man.
Right.
And but yeah, man, that's it. That's how it was growing up, man. And I always had that, but I don't know. I guess when I was growing up, like I didn't really see too much of a problem because we were kids, right? But we went to the store and I was able to buy my food in Mexican stores without no problems.
Right.
But I guess it's different now. Like when you're an adult, I don't know if they're more aggressive now about it, about not knowing your, like Spanish or what, but it's like that in some places, man, when you go to some restaurants.
And you've seen it a lot.
Yeah, yeah. But, a lot of restaurants, they know Spanish and English, right? But then you go to some restaurants and they send a server and she don't know not one lick of English. And she's going to get frustrated. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
I know I'd get frustrated if I'm going to go try to serve these people and they don't speak my my language. So I'm going to be like, what the fuck? How am I going to take this people's order? Like, you know what I mean?
We deal with it sometimes.
But I take it offensive when they get like that because I can feel the energy. Like, hey, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
Like, oh, man, like, shit.
Or
man.
looking down on you.
Yeah, and you don't know what they're saying because right away they start talking, and
Fast.
then if they laugh, you think they're clowning on you.
Yeah.
So like, oh, here we go with this shit. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, but hey, you're so Portuguese, isn't that Spanish too?
Well, it's similar, yeah, for sure. I mean, if you learn Portuguese, like I learned enough to just basically converse a little. But then if I hear people speaking Spanish, I can kind of tell what they're saying. I can pick up on some words.
Yeah.
But they go really fast. I'm sure same with you. Like you pick up certain words too, even not though you don't speak it. But they speak fast. There's no way in hell you're going to grab it. It's like it's too fast. Yeah. So like that dude in my parking lot, man, he'd be speaking Spanish hella fast. I'm like, I just wave my head. I go, okay. I don't know what the fuck you just said.
Yeah.
That's just funny.
So
But
man,
what about friends of yours that also were Mexican
know
but
what?
didn't speak Spanish? How do they feel? Like
all my friends I grew up with, majority of them didn't speak Spanish.
Mm-hmm. But did they ever say they felt like the pressure? Like you?
They were like me. Their grandparents spoke Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they didn't. And we were, so we were those guys who grew up, here in America, and we we're Americans. You know what I'm saying? Like we're Mexican Americans. We talk the way we talk. We walk the way we walk.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you call that? We kicked it with who we kicked it with, like who we have something in common with, right?
Right.
And it's not that we weren't, like, if a kid came up to us and he spoke Spanish, we didn't tell him to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
If he wanted to kick it with us, we would kick it with him. You know what I mean? But in my neighborhood growing up, there was a lot of, it was mixed. There was blacks,
Filipinos,
whites,
Samoans.
Asians, Samoans.
Yeah.
So we didn't, it was normal to us, like, oh, that fool speaks Chinese, that fool speaks Samoan, and this dude speaks Spanish. So we didn't know the difference as kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We were just like, fuck, this shit's mixed everywhere, But it wasn't until we got older and I started realizing, like, oh shit, like I started asking more and more questions about my race and figuring things out. That's how I know that Mexican is just a cultural heritage. It's not even a fucking race.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And when you tell Mexicans that, they're like, what? Like, nah, dude, we're part of the people who survived by being mixed,
Right.
and we carry our original bloodline still, but we're still mixed. You know what I mean?
Well, it's funny, me philosophically in life, not just about race, but even like politics, right? Like somebody's like, I'm Democrat, and this guy's like, oh, I'm Republican. They choose that, right? And then, of course, race, we're like, well, I'm Mexican because I was born and my grandfather was born in Mexico, let's say, right?
Right.
So we don't choose that one, but we're still proud, right? You're going to be proud of your family, your heritage, your culture.
Yeah.
But you're not going to like disrespect some other cultures and say, oh, they're better or worse. So that's where people get weird,
See, that's what complicates things when you're like, oh man, he's Mexican, he don't speak Spanish and all that. Like, come on, man, knock that shit off, man. And if you did your homework, you'd feel kind of stupid being that proud and disrespecting your own people,
right,
for not speaking a language that's not even our native language. And you should have some kind of consideration and or some kind of like feeling about, hey, wait a minute, don't fucking forget that we got robbed for everything and our language was one of them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like you said, the Mayan language,
right? Like that. So come on, man, like let's just knock that shit off.
Don't
and
judge each other.
And I know some people were raised in different cities in different areas, and certain circumstances gave them this reason to create this false narrative that Mexican Americans were bullies to Mexicans who came from Mexico. That's not true. It was just part of, it's just nature.
Yeah.
We see something that wasn't normal and we didn't take a liking to it right away, But that doesn't mean we didn't go home and eat beans and rice like you guys went home and ate beans and rice. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's just some dumb shit when we were kids. And you should have evolved from that. And if you're still complaining about something that happened when you were a kid, you got some problems, because you should have evolved from that. You should know why that was happening and not being playing the victim today as an adult and still putting down Mexican Americans, and calling them bullies, because that shit was two-sided. Johnny, I'm serious. That was two-sided, dude. When I was put in a situation where I was the minority and there was like 5 Mexicans from Mexico, and they would be clowning.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? They would get their clown on.
Because they had the numbers. They were bigger number than you. Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? So it is what it is, man. It's just, but now that we're older and we know better, we need to stop that little vicious cycle of trying to divide and act like we're different, because we're not. We're the same. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's why like I said earlier, like with the politics, when somebody says I'm a Republican, I say I'm none of those things. I'm always trying to figure shit out, and it's funny because that group mentality, when those guys go, hey, you don't speak Spanish, but let's say there's 5 guys that do, and they look down on you, you're by yourself, you're like, well, whatever, bro.
Yeah.
Like that's just creating division and negative energy. But the best way to respond to that, at least for me, is I just go, well, whatever. If if the table's turned and you're over here, you're gonna feel like wanting my help. You know what I'm saying? Like, at one point you need each other's help, and I like the fact that you're bringing it up. Like, you should be on the same side no matter what. There's no divisions.
Nah, man. It's just different. We were upbringings. We were raised different. Mm-hmm. But just do your homework, man, and just realize that we're all the same. Even if
you don't speak it,
like I said, I brought up that white dude from South Los. Like, that dude straight spoke Spanish, but you could tell his skin is straight white. Yeah. He's European.
He was born.
You know what I'm saying? He got European blood all up in him, like all of us do. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But
He
like
learned it. He learned Spanish
that's
well.
I mean, but you know that's like me telling him, hey fool, like
You can't speak
like
it.
no like you speak Spanish, but look at your skin.
Yeah.
You ain't more Mexican than me, you know.
Yeah.
But
That's funny.
that's kind of stupid, right?
Right.
I mean, if you think about it, because we're mixed. Once you come to the realization and own up that the fact is that we're a mixed race, then you will understand. Like, don't clown nobody for not speaking Spanish or for speaking Spanish.
Right.
Make sense?
Yeah, it totally makes sense.
You know what I'm saying? Because we're mixed. We're fucking Kool-Aid. Like I said, don't matter what flavor, as long as there's sugar, it's all gonna taste good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I'm sure if you learned it, you learned it. You won't care one way or another. You're still the same guy, whether you speak Spanish or not.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna change. The only difference is you know a new language.
Yeah, but it's different, man, with us.
Yeah, I took Spanish in school too.
There's a lot of pride in our race, and we kick our. You know, we are our worst enemy.
Well, even within Mexico, what about pride in like being from Sinaloa or from some specific area of Mexico and treating somebody worse? That happens within Mexico.
They you know, I heard that, you know, in Mexico and back in you know, past Mexico, I heard there's some racial lines being divided over there
within their own country. Right?
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, Mexico's pretty like racist with the people that come from down like below them.
Yeah.
So it's just history, man. It's just the way it is, man. You know.
Human behavior, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Human behavior, right?
Just trying to be like, oh, we got to figure out a way to divide.
Like
You're
who
not the same.
like who the fuck are those people? Like they look different. They talk different. You know.
different. Yeah, they dress different.
They make their tortillas purple.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
They'll always find some way to fucking create division. It sucks. I mean,
but it's interesting though. So that's why I wanted to cover this topic, because it's like so many people are, and we're in 2024, and I've been talking about this to my kids for years. My oldest is 24, and there's people still on TikTok, my age, and Instagram talking about they were victims when they were kids because they spoke Spanish.
Right.
Like, man, shut that shit up. We were victims too because we didn't speak Spanish. You know what I'm saying? Like it was a two-way street. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, knock that shit off, man. Put an end to this shit. Do your homework. Get educated. We are a mixed race, and there's nothing we could do about that but own it and, you know, be proud of it. You know?
Right.
Have you ever seen that growing up? I mean, I know you've seen
Yeah.
that, like the Mexican Americans and then the Mexicans from Mexico. You've seen that kind of separation here in San Jose.
I see it even in like, when guys are trying to date a girl and they're like, what kind of music, the girl, whatever the girl listened to, you have a friend, he'd be like, oh, and all of a sudden he's listening to that same shit. And you're like, bro, you don't even like that music.
Yeah.
But that's human behavior, that whole thing. Like, in other words, you have to have something in common. Like, if I'm a Raiders fan, and you really want to impress me, you'll be like, yeah, I'm a Raiders fan too. Some people do that shit.
You know what? That's a good point you brought up, because some of these people, they go on TikTok and they say shit like that, like, oh, the Mexican Americans from up north are all of a sudden now starting to take a liking to their, to their heritage and, and listen to Mexican music. Like, wait a minute.
Like they're not allowed to.
Like, no, we were listening to that shit our whole lives.
Yeah.
What it was when we were kids, it was just not popular. If you ain't bumping, I mean, where I grew up, people were bumping Too Short, fucking Stevie B and shit, you know what I mean? Yeah. And you come through with
like
some
Cameron
Mexican
on
music bumping on some 12-inch speakers, it's gonna be like, hey, fool, like, come on, like that ain't cool right now. Like you ain't wearing Jordans and shit. Like, you're wearing Pro Wings from Payless right now. It was just that.
That's how it was for Portuguese too.
It was just like that. It was just like, who was cool and who was not cool, and like, things that ain't popular in like for like the last 4 years will be popular the next 4 years.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Like,
you
bell
just gotta
bottoms
ride the fucking wave.
Bell bottoms are coming back.
You feel me? Hey, you see the older fucking dude, I swear to God, I remember white dudes running down my block wearing the tightest fucking shorts with slits on the side in the 80s. You will be those same white dudes won't be caught dead wearing those motherfuckers right now. Like, yeah.
So when you were young, it's like you felt like it didn't make sense to play that music.
Right.
It wasn't popular.
And now that we're older, we should know better, and we should have evolved and not still being playing the victim to those childish things that happened when we were kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, hey, that was just some kid shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, come on, we're adults now. I know who I am now. I know I'm Mexican, and and I'm not speaking for myself only. I'm speaking for everybody.
People, yeah.
There's a lot of people who were disrespectful. And like I said, and it was a two-way street. And now that we're older, we should be teaching our kids, hey man, this is what we learned as kids, and we made these mistakes. You know, we looked at these people that came from Mexico, and we called them certain names, and we shouldn't refer to them with those names anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's disrespectful. They're our same people. And
well, yeah, when I'd go visit, because, you know, Portugal is like a third world country, right? So we'd go there as kids, and everything they had was way outdated, right? It's like going to Cuba, right? It's like literally like they were lucky to have power when we first got there. Some people didn't even have electricity, bro. But anyway, the point is that when you come back from that, you'd look at those people as like a little backwards, like they're behind the times, and like we're in the future, you know?
Yeah.
And so that music, when it would come over, it was like kind of like felt outdated, you know what I mean? And I'm sure, I don't know if that was the case for you with Spanish music, but like when you listen to, you know, Mexican music and they're bumping it and they're like kind of like, feel like it wasn't popular, definitely not in the 80s in San Jose.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't like let me note this. I was nobody to be clowning on nobody when I was growing up. I had holes in my shoes, and I definitely didn't have no fucking Nikes or no Feelers when I was a kid. I had Pro Wings, and we didn't get shoes until next year if we had
to save up for them.
No, we didn't have money, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was bad for us as shit. And our I don't know, like we used to go to this place called the Segunda. It was I don't even know. And whatever that means in Spanish, I think it's a thrift store.
Oh, okay.
Right? And it was where you get the handy downs. You get used clothes.
Yeah.
But you would shop through it. They were on clothing racks.
Yeah.
You'd be going through clothing racks. Oh, I want this shirt. I want this shirt.
Yeah.
And they was selling for like $1 or $2, $5, whatever, you know, the shirts and the pants.
Yeah.
And that's where we got our clothes, dude.
Yeah, and your mom be like, you ain't spending no $30 on shoes, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I see these kids at school, like, they be smelling good.
Shoes. Fuck.
This is how you know a kid had money when I was growing up.
Yeah.
His clothes would smell like they fresh out the dryer.
Right.
You know what I mean? And my clothes were petrified from hanging outside in the fucking clothesline and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So, like, I wasn't nobody. I like if there was any people around me that didn't speak English, I was fitting in right next to them. So that's why I guess when I was a kid, I didn't see no difference.
Yeah.
Because we all were at the flea market running around, slide through the slide. There was probably a language barrier, but when you're a kid, you don't give a fuck. You're just having fun.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you're just running around and having fun and whatever. We talk to each other the way we with hands or whatever. We communicated.
Yep.
And I didn't know not one damn Spanish, but my grandma and grandpa was sitting there getting drunk with their parents.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
They speak Spanish.
And so so that's how we clicked up. You know what I mean?
That's
like, hey, our
funny.
parents are kicking it, so we're kicking it too. You know what I mean?
That's
so
fun.
we're all the fucking same, man.
Yeah.
Just do your homework, and it's all love, man. Shout out to all the Mexicans from United States all the way down to Mexico, man. It's all love.
Oh yeah. You be bumping the Mexican music now? Once in a while?
Oh yeah, hell yeah, I bump
Okay.
that shit. And that's the thing. So look, man, my daughter's 6 years old. She's raised in the flea market because that was my heritage. Dude, I grew up there. So I take her straight to the flea market too. And she talks about it, you know, hey, Dad, I want to go to the flea market.
Yeah.
My wife, my kids, my sons, you know, that Mexican music will get me wanting to drink a beer. You know what I'm saying? That's
Exactly.
and I don't know shit they're saying, you know what I'm saying? But it's that shit bumps, man. It's good music. And I know it's kind of like most of Mexican music is like oldies and shit. You know, they're telling a story, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, hey, whether you know what it is or not, you know, hey, you know they're saying something cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
they
me,
got
I'm
style.
all about the beat and the rhythm, you know, and the feeling it gives me. So,
there's a lot
yeah,
of
man, like...
A lot of
hey,
young new artists are mixing that old Mexican music, but with like modern rap trap. I don't know if you heard of some of those artists. Like,
yeah, I see that, man, and I would love to do something like that, man. That'd be dope as fuck, man.
yeah, it's
But,
popular, bro. Like that shit's blowing up.
matter of fact, dude, you know, now that we're talking about this, I think I'm gonna take a Spanish class.
Yep.
So I could be fluent because the words that I do know in Spanish, like I say it like perfect.
Yeah.
And like when I talk to people who are fluent in Spanish, they're like, man, you talk it like you roll your R's perfect. You know what I mean? Or
So you probably learn it quick too.
It's just
You know what I'm saying? You probably learn it quick without realizing because you're around it, you heard it, but you didn't know what the hell they were saying. But you'll learn it quick, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good thing. You should try that, man.
But yeah, man, I'm no
that.
different than those who do know Spanish. We played with the same toys from the fucking flea markets, man. We bought those same big ass cookies with the sprinkles on them.
Hell yeah.
I remember I used to get them for like 5 cents or 10 cents and shit, back in the day. Mm-hmm. And my grandma and grandpa never took us to any Safeway or any like American store. We always went to the Mexican stores. So I mean, that's all I know. You know what I mean? Eating those Saralitos and shit, you know what I mean, as a kid, and just smacking those. Do you know what those are?
Yeah, is it the padaria? Like they bake the
no,
bakery?
Those are
the Mexican bakery.
Those are that's a bakery. But I'm talking about this little Saralitos, like these little. I think they're plums or dried up little. It's a dried up little fruit or something, but they put a lot of salt on them and shit. People use it for their.
I never had them.
For their beers now and shit.
Yeah.
But anyways, like I grew up Mexican. Bottom line was, I'm saying you cannot. I challenge anybody to say they're more
Mexican than you.
that they're more Mexican than me as far as our culture, how we were raised, like the way our house was. You know what I mean? The way the food we ate. Like the clothes we wore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is, man. Like.
Oh yeah.
So man, again, man, I just it's all love. Shout out to all the Mexicans again, man. Let's not get it twisted. Let's end this off on a good note. We're all the same. We might be have different colors, shades of brown, but our blood's all the same. And let's not forget why we're mixed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Puro Mexicano. You know what I mean? It's a pure Mexican. Yeah, but that's dope, bro. I mean, I'm glad you brought that up to the fans, to the audience. Let them know, how you feel about it, and that you also felt kind of weird, like they were treating you different. Just you didn't speak it.
It's it's important because they need to embrace us as well as they want to be embraced too.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
Know what I mean?
Like if you had a cousin that came visit, I don't know if you did, but I always had cousins. Like I said, they come visit from Portugal. I would never make them feel lesser or worse. I was embracing them, bringing them in. This is America.
Yeah.
Check it out. But they would always look to us. I don't know how Mexicans today feel coming to America. Maybe they look down on us being from up here. But before, they used to embrace us. They look up to us and see for they want a way to make more money.
Yeah.
At least,
a lot of it's just a misunderstanding, and there was definitely a language barrier back then, so nothing could be settled.
Yeah.
But now that we have social media and we have this wider audience, we could spread this and let each other know, like, hey, man, like, hey. That's enough. Like, knock that shit off. And just as much as you want to be embraced, I want to be embraced too.
Right.
So when you see people that look like you go to your restaurants and they order speaking English, don't knock them. They're not trying to disrespect. They're just trying to get through their day like you are, man.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're just trying to eat like you, man.
Yeah. They're like, you didn't say it in Spanish. You're like, what?
I really feel like that, man. And I really feel like a black guy walking into a white restaurant sometimes when I walk into my own Mexican restaurant, like, fuck, here we go again.
Like, they're looking at you.
They're going to trip on me, man, because I'm wearing maybe a certain kind of hat or something, and I'm just like
this dude don't speak Spanish. What the hell?
They could tell the way we look, our tattoos, like, oh, these dudes are like these are Chicanos and shit.
Yeah. And that's the thing. But you're culturally, you don't speak Spanish, but you are Mexican. It's like, that's the bottom line. And what's funny is you get two sides of the stick. By the way, you've mentioned this. The cops will treat you like you've done something wrong just because of your clothes and your tattoos, right?
Right, dude. I'm telling you,
so
we're going through this.
No benefits.
I mean, God. You know what I'm saying?
You're gonna the cops are gonna fuck with me and treat me, and then you guys are gonna fuck with me too and treat me because I'm speaking English.
Dude, it's so bad, dude. Like, my mom named me after this great grandfather, and I couldn't even pronounce that name when I was growing up, going to school.
When you were a kid,
you know what I'm saying? Because I couldn't roll the R's that good when I was a kid and shit.
Yeah.
They'd be like, "What?" And I had to and they'd be like. They be saying all these weird ass names to try to match my name, and it's like, no, that's not whatever. That's whatever. That's I guess.
Did you always go? Did you always go by? Oh, you went by Mister, like, as a nickname.
No. When you go to school, you can't go by your nickname.
That's what they say your name.
So I have to say my name and shit, and they'd be like, "What?"
Yeah.
And like, oh man.
My teachers couldn't pronounce my last name very well.
And my mom was always getting. She was always getting kicked out of her apartment. So I went through so many different schools in San Jose. Like,
and moved a lot.
I don't think anybody went to as much of schools as I went to. I was always the new kid having to walk in with no new shoes, no fucking haircut.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? With this fucking Spanish name that I couldn't even pronounce. It was fucked up, dude. I had a complex in kindergarten.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, hey, don't forget to like and subscribe. Please hit that like button and subscribe. It helps out with the algorithm. It keeps things flowing. Sorry we ain't been here with this new podcast. We had to take a break during the holidays, but we're gonna be knocking this out every week. I got a guy coming next Tuesday. We're gonna interview him. It's a really good. It's gonna be a really good story, man. You know, this guy. He's an entrepreneur now. He went to prison. I think he did about 10 years, but now he's a personal trainer.
Well, that's gonna be nice.
So don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for that one. It's coming. And what I'm going to do with this podcast, if you're looking to share a story of success, if you lost a loved one and you were, maybe you were thinking about the worst case, you wanted to take your own life and you made it through that and you're still here and you're glad you didn't do that. And now that, because I know some people who wanted to do that before and now they didn't and they survived it. They're lucky they didn't because they felt like they would have let their loved one who passed down.
Yeah.
They would have like hurt them even more that they did that. So because I don't know about you guys, but if I die, I don't want my kids to fucking kill themselves or to live a fucked up life. I want them to be happy. So I'll die happy knowing that they're going to stay strong and be happy, and live their life to the fullest. So if you got a story of something like that, or if you been to the trenches like prison, and I don't want to hear about just how much of a gangster you were. I want to know how gangster you are now by handling your business with your wife and your kids, getting your money legit. Just how shocked you are to be here.
Yeah.
How far you came.
And that next guy's going to be talking about that stuff, right?
Right. Yeah. So don't be afraid to reach out and hit me up. We could talk about something and we could warm it up through a phone call, and you could hear me out, I hear you out to see if before you make that decision to come. And but this podcast is going to be all about success. I want to motivate people. I want to inspire people. I want to, like, when you watch this, I want you to get like a good feeling. I want your spirits to be lifted that day after watching something like this. I don't want you to be like learning some dumb shit and going home and teaching that to your kids. Because look, I don't know about you, but I know when I watch certain things on YouTube, it could irritate the shit out of me, and I could take that damn energy home. You know what I'm saying?
It could be negative, yeah.
So yes, very, very, that energy shit is real. And so be careful what you watch. I know some of you guys don't realize this, but if you walk into a church and you believe in God, but you walk into a church and they're worshiping the devil, are you going to stay there?
Hell no.
I don't think so. So why are you going to stay watching these certain channels?
Yeah, they promote bad negative shit.
Yeah, just stay positive, man, because there's so much negative shit in this world, man, and we need it. I got a lot of negative shit I could talk about, but that's just letting poison out my body. And I know when I do get involved, I'm not saying I didn't. I did entertain that a lot, and what it does is give me bad energy, and it puts me in a bad mood.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to work with myself and just spit positive shit out here, man. And I hope you guys can work with me. Please subscribe and don't forget
that like button.
Don't forget to hit that like button.
All right, we out.
We out.